What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, I want to talk about having grounds for navigating grief and loss. So I really wanted to make this video because we're in the holiday season, and I know a lot of people struggle with, missing loved ones. And for me, this time of year, the holiday season was one of my mom's favorite times of the year. She loved to dress up, decorate, do all the things. And so it's been 10 years since my mom passed away. She passed away November 9th, 2015. She passed away of a broken heart. And that is actually a real thing. And to piggyback off that, I saw her health, I watched her health decline, after me and my wife's 1-year anniversary back in 2015. And to piggyback off of that, my stepfather had stage 4 cancer in 2014. And while we was getting ready to get married, he had made a statement like, "Lawrence, I'm not gonna be able to make it to your wedding." I'm like, "Bro, what are you talking about? What you mean?" So, and then he had a doctor's visit, and then we come to find out they're like, "Yeah, he had stage 4 cancer, make him comfortable." So they're like 4 days after Valentine's Day of 2014. That's when my stepfather passed. And then in 2017, one of my best friends was murdered. And then in 2020, my biological father had also passed away due to COVID. And he was also on dialysis. And he had a gash in his foot. He had a gash in his foot. He had injured his foot or messed up his foot and all of that. And then he ended up getting COVID. And the crazy part is that I wasn't able to go see him. So, just that's a lot, and that could be a lot for anybody. So, I don't know, losing loved ones, family passing away, parents passing away, anybody that's near and dear to your heart is always hard. And I think for me, out of all of those people that I named, my mom's passing hit the hardest. So I want to bring up one of my go-to scriptures. So it's Psalm 34, verse 18, and it goes, The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. And I believe that to be true, because even though it don't always feel like the Lord is near, when you find out somebody, when you find out that somebody that you love and care about is either passed away, or you start to see their health decline, it's just it's really, really, it's hard, and it sucks, and it don't always feel, it don't feel like God is near. It feels like he's taking away. It feels like he's removing. It feels like he's taking a part of you away. And I feel like that's the hard part. Initially, it's like that. It's like that. The shock of it all. The shock to see your mom's health decline. The shock to hear that your best friend, after living a life in the streets and then trying to get his life on track, boom, now he's murdered. And then to see your stepfather, who was once up and around, moving around, and boom, stage 4 cancer, boom. And then even after reconciling with your biological dad, and the relationship that you and your biological father actually formed after years of having to overcome father wounds when he wasn't around, and then it's like another boom, and it's and it was during COVID, when my dad passed, and that was hard because it was COVID and I couldn't see him and couldn't do nothing. Everybody, it was COVID, quarantine, you can't go nowhere. So, and so The Lord truly is near. And it's not always gonna feel like he's near. And he's there. And he is there. It's not always gonna feel like it. And then over time, and this will go on to my first point, like grief comes in waves. And when the wave comes, don't run from it, don't avoid it, process it. And the way you ride that wave is to actually just have people in your corner that you can talk to, or just if you can afford counseling or therapy, or do it. Either have somebody to talk to, have somebody that holds space for you, and just let it all out. Because during my mom passed, I'm grateful for like my wife, my best friends, and my cousins, who was always there. And like, because they was right there. They was right there in the thick when it happened. But I think my mom's death hit me the hardest, because I lost at that time I lost the one person who I was looking at like Superwoman. I felt like she could live on forever, you know what I mean? And I remember watching her health decline after me and my wife's 1-year anniversary. And I was so disoriented and thrown off. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what in the world? So we was going to see War Room. Our church got together and wanted to go see War Room. And then on the way to the theater, we getting our tickets. Boom, she collapses on the floor. We all trying to help her up and everything. And once we got her up, shortly after that, her health started declining. And I'm like, where did this come from? And lo and behold, the following month, her health was just getting bad. Like, she refused to eat. We ended up like it went from like she wasn't eating, and she was going to the bathroom on herself. It was just like she was having a failure to thrive, and it was just really hard to witness. And my wife, who was living with me, who was all living at my mom's house, whatever, and like my mom was taking care of her even at 8 months, even when she was 8 months pregnant, which the grace of God that was on that was on my wife, like while carrying, you know what I'm saying, like literally almost towards the last trimester, the way she just was there for my mom, took care of my mom. It was ended up being her caregiver for that time and that season. And then my sister-in-law, who was a CNA, well, she's an RN now, but she was a CNA at the time, like kind of helping us like navigate just that part of just, just checking on her. And it was so crazy. And then fast forward to like the day that she passed, I never cried so hard. Like, I feel like a part of me died. And then to be honest, a part of me had to die. And I was so mad at God. I was so angry with God, and I was so mad at the Lord, because I wanted her to live at least 30 more years. And I remember listening to Hey Mama by Kanye West, and I was like, yeah, I want to do the exact same thing. The things that he was talking about in that song, I wanted to do for my mom. But all in all, like, I remember a coworker at the time was just reminding me of the things that she witnessed me doing. And I remember one of my coworkers was just like, your mom left you in good hands. And then I remember I was like, she's right, because she got to see me graduate. She got to see me not just graduate high school, but graduate college. she got to see me like get married, and and I'm grateful for all the lessons that she taught me, and I'm grateful for all the things, for all like the work that she put in to raise me, and lessons that I'm trying to instill as a person, as a husband, as a father. I'm grateful for all those things. I'm grateful for my mom. I'm grateful for everybody that I named too. Grateful for my stepdad. I'm grateful for my best friend, because it's crazy. My best friend, Mike. We was not on speaking terms, and we had stopped talking for some years. And then when he found out my mom passed, that's when me and him was able to reconcile. So I'm grateful. It's like these people that I'm talking about, I'm mentioning, like, as I look back, even though they're not here anymore, I'm grateful for the time that I spent with them, the good, bad, ugly, and indifferent, the ups and downs. Even with people like my stepdad, who like stepped in when my dad wasn't around, and he did the best he could, and he was the one male figure that gave me hope, and at first our relationship wasn't the best, but then over time it got better. Over time I saw him as like a dad, and I started to see him as and like I said, I had father wounds, so I didn't have no respect for men. Like, when I would hear people like, men are trash, I was like, yeah, I was saying the same thing. And but that was just because I had daddy wounds and I had father wounds, and I wanted my dad around, and he wasn't. And to go talk about my biological father, who was in and out of jail, not president. When he was president, it was just keep saying it was toxic, but it was hostile. He wasn't the perfect dad when I was growing up, and I'm grateful to God, because He reconciled the both of us, and it was like we was both getting right with the Lord at the same time. And so even as I'm thinking about all this, thinking about these people, I just know that, like, what I've come to understand about grief, and this is something I'm still learning to navigate. And even at the time of me recording this, or me making this video, my father-in-law just passed away not too long ago. And like, he was a great man. And now I thought that when I first met him, I don't know why I just had this thought, like, man, this man gonna grill me, or this man gonna like you. And maybe it was just me watching too many movies or watching too many TV shows, but like, this man, he got out the car and he gave me the biggest hug, and he was so full of joy, and he was welcoming, he was warm, and he asked about how I was, and like, we always had this, we just kind of loved it, man, And I knew I could always talk to him about sports. I know I'm going to miss our sports conversations, how the Bears gonna do, how the Bulls gonna do, like, just being able to, he was always encouraging and uplifting, and like, my father-in-law was great. And he was the best papa to my kids. Like, and I know they're gonna miss him too. It's hard, and But I will say, grief is good. Grief is good. And the reason why I say that is because I think about Jesus in John 11. I think about Jesus. And even though, if you know the story of Lazarus in John chapter 11, Mary and Martha was like, you knew about this. If you would have been here, we sent word out that Lazarus was sick. We sent word out, like, what's going on, you know. And if you've seen The Chosen, you already know the scene. Like, the way they showed Jesus weeping was insane. The way they showed him, like, the way that you see, like, the way they portrayed it and the way you saw it was crazy. But it's like, I think it's one of the shortest verses in all of Scripture. Jesus wept. I think it's the shortest. I'm not sure. But like, those two words, it is okay to weep. It is okay to cry. But grief is good, and the reason why I say grief is good is because you need to process it. Like I said, what I talked about earlier, like, the grief comes in waves. Ride that wave. Even if that wave causes you to weep, even if that wave causes you to let it all out. My hope, as whoever this video is for, if you're watching this video, I hope that, like, you can take that time to actually process. Because even after my mom passed, I didn't know how to grieve properly. And I'll say this as well, that my mom's passing was the cherry on top of all the stuff that I was not facing. It was the cherry on top of all the things that I was not dealing with internally. It was the cherry on top of all the work that I was really wasn't mature enough yet to kind of deal with, kind of face, and actually, like, handle. So, because I was wrestling with, like, insecurities from the past, like, just struggling with communicating feelings, insecurities, pride, ego. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was a mess. Let me just say this. I was a mess. And it wasn't, and I could see even back then how me not being able to, like I said, that being a cherry on top of already internal issues, how I was kind of like a ticking time bomb, an emotional ticking time bomb. And I'm also currently reading Jason Wilson's book, The Man, the Moment Demands. I encourage anybody to go read that. Just go read that book. It's phenomenal. But I'm going to use one of the terms that he uses, emotionally incarcerated. And I think I allowed myself to be emotionally incarcerated, and I think that's where that ticking time bomb came, and that's where that unprocessed anger and trauma of the past, or just past hurt, pain, stuff I held on to a lot of stuff. So that's what I mean by, like, my mom's death was the cherry on top of all my other issues. And that may be the same for a lot of people with like the people that day, if you lost a loved one, And I will say, like, I think it's important for us to just process. Let the process, let it be, let it happen. You come out on the other end so much healthier, so much better. And going into my next thing, or my next point, my last point, is that we we have to learn how to go on. There's grounds for going on. There's grounds for moving on. And I want to also just bring up one of my favorite artists, Swoop. And he came out with an album in 2024 called We Go On. And that whole album is just talking about grief and processing what was, and processing not just grief of loss of a loved one, but just he was also just talking about grieving the career that he thought he would have had. He also navigated grieving the things that he thought he would be in his life and in his career as an artist and things like that. And I feel like a lot of us go through that. Like, we wish we could, you know what I'm saying? We also processing the grief and loss of what could have been, or what might have been, or what we have dreamt of. And maybe life up to this point isn't what we wanted, but I feel like that album is so helpful. And if you are a hip hop fan, and if you and yes, Swoop is a Christian rap artist, but I'm talking about just a hip hop fan. Like, this is an album to check out, and especially if you wrestling grief, if you processing grief, you just lost somebody. I feel like the album, just cut it on and just let it minister to you. That's what I feel like that album is. We Go On by Swoop. I feel like it's just, I feel like that album is a ministry tool. That album is how to deal with, is a ministry tool for grief, is a ministry piece for grief and loss. It's so good. So, and I'm a little biased because Swoop one of my favorite artists, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's all I got for this video, and I hope that watching this was encouraging and helpful. And because it's the holidays, and you know, I know that a lot of people are having a hard time right now. I feel like people have a hard time, period, with grief and losing people, but especially this time of the year. So yeah. That being said, do all the things, like, share, subscribe, maybe even leave a comment. So yeah, all right, shalom.